India is a land of stories, right from the cradle to the grave. For each step of the life, India has a story. Some stories have elements of adventure, some of tragedy, some of drama, some of politics. But every story has a lesson based on Dharma, on righteousness. In the Indic tradition, these stories are transmuted through the culture of Purana as they call, Pura api navamasi. These are the stories which are as relevant today as they were thousands of years ago. And these stories are the mediums through which we can look into the culture, understand the philosophy of India, the philosophy of Hindu tradition. Therefore, in order to introduce the Hindu tradition to a wider audience, the Hindu Society of the Oxford University brings a series of stories, Hindu stories from the Indic Cradle. We'll be discussing some stories from the Puranic culture, from the Vedantic culture, from the Hindu tradition of India, and try to discuss and learn some lessons which are embedded in them. Today, it's the Janma Tithi of Swami Vivekananda, a Hindu monk, perhaps the first Hindu monk of the modern times who crossed the oceans, came to the West, and introduced the Hindu culture to a global audience. It was long back in the year 1893 that he went to Chicago, the World Parliament of Religions, and introduced the Hindu Dharma to the globe. So today, we will be discussing a story which inspired Vivekananda. Vivekananda's favorite story of Nachiketa. This story features in Kathopanishad. Kathopanishad is part of Vedantic culture. Vedanta means the essence of the Vedas, which says that everybody, every creature is divine, and the purpose of life is to realize this divinity. This Katha Upanishad dates back to 5th century BC and features in the Yajur Veda. This Upanishad starts with a story. The story opens with a scene where Vajashrava's son, Rishi Gautama, is performing a yajna, a sacrifice rite, which is based on the theory of karma. Whatever you give comes back to you in a grander manner. So this Rishi Gautama is performing a yajna, and this particular yajna is called Vishvajit Yajna. He is sacrificing in order to conquer the world, in order to gain merit, to conquer this world or that world. But what is he giving? This Rishi is giving cows. It was an agricultural economy in those times, so he was giving away cows to learned men as gift. But these were the cows who had drank their share of water, who had eaten their share of grass, who were milked for the last time long ago, sick and old cows, who were counting their last days. And Rishi Gautama was sacrificing these cows while keeping aside healthy cows for himself. And his young son, Nachiketa, our hero, the hero of Swami Vivekananda, was watching his father doing this deed. And then a sense of viveka, sense of discrimination between right and wrong, awoke in him. He went to his father and nudged him. "What are you doing, father?" Father ignored him. He again went. "What are you doing, father?" Ignored. Then he said, "Oh, dear father, whom will you give me to?" The father was disturbed. He said, "Just go away." The young boy continued nudging his father and saying, "Father, you are giving these cows to learned men. Whom will you give me to?" The father, Rishi Gautama, got angry and he said, "Mrityave tvam dadamati, I give you to death." The words were spoken. The boy was taken aback. The boy thought, "What did I do to deserve this? I may not be the topper, I may not be the best, but I am not the worst. I may not be the most obedient, but I am not a rebel to my father. Why is he sending me to death?" But words were already spoken. And as they say, pran jaye par vachan na jaye. The life force may go, but the uttered words should not go in vain. Like a good boy, like an obedient boy, Nachiketa started his journey towards death. He reached the palace of the Lord of Death, Yamaraj, Yama. But, as we all know, Yamaraj, the Lord of Death, is a busy man. He has a lot of clients. So Yamaraj was on his tour. Maybe to meet some of his clients, to take some of his clients, some with notice, some without. So Yamaraj was not there at his palace. The boy waited on the gate without eating, without drinking anything for 3 days. On the 4th day, Yamaraj came and he saw a young boy shining like fire, having that glow in him, the glow of faith, the glow of truthfulness, the glow to seek knowledge. This young learned boy was waiting at the gate of Yamaraj's palace. Even Yamaraj was scared to see this boy, and he said, "My dear learned boy, I am so sorry that I made you wait for 3 days. Let me give you 3 boons. Ask any 3 things, and I shall give it to you." The boy, Nachiketa, said to Yamaraj, "Oh dear Yamaraj, my first boon is that when I go back, let my father be not angry with me. Let him be happy throughout." Now they say that this shows the intelligence of this boy. He asked 3 things within 1 boon. When I go back, who goes from death? Who goes back from the palace of death? But the boy said, when I go back, let my father accept me, Who believes in a person even if he comes back from death? People will be scared, thinking of him to be a ghost. But he said, let my father accept and let my father be happy. So he also asked for happiness of his father. That was his first boon. And Yamaraj said, Tathastu, the boon shall be granted. Now the second boon, Nachiketa said, Dear Yamaraj, there are several people who want to go to heaven. Now you, the death, are the decider who goes to heaven and who goes to hell. Who better than you can tell me for them what is the way to reach the heavens? Is there any rite? Is there any ritual, a yajna to reach heaven? Please tell that yajna to me. The Yamraj said, Tathastu, the boon shall be granted. Here is the method, here is the rite, the yajna to reach the heavens. And from today, dear learned boy, this method, this yajna, will be called as Nachiketa yajna. Ask for your third boon. I am very pleased with you. The young boy, the main boon he asked, the third boon. He said, Dear sir, some people say that there is something after death. Some people say there is nothing after death. I want to know the truth. Is there something or is there not? What happens after death? What is the truth of life? Dear sir, tell me the secret of life and death. The Yamraj was taken aback. He said, Oh, young lad, this is not an easy question. Why do you want to know these things? Even the lords struggle for years and centuries and eons to know the answer to it. Don't ask this question. Ask something else. I shall give it to you horses and chariots. I shall give it to you anything you want. The kingdoms of land, pieces of land, rulership over people, lordship. I shall give you cows and cattle. I shall give you 100 children who shall live for 100 years each. Ask for anything. Ask for dancers, ask for musicians, ask for palaces, and that shall be given to you. Even those things which are hard to achieve, even impossible to achieve in one single human birth, I shall give it to you. But don't ask these questions of philosophy. Don't ask for the truth of life. The boy, the learned as he was, the adamant as he was, the faith as he had, said, Oh dear Yamraj, oh dear death, as long as you are here, all these pleasurable things are ephemeral. These are temporary, because one day you shall come and take away all these things. Then what am I gonna do with all these things when I know that these shall go one day? I don't want these temporary ephemeral things. Tell me the eternal truth, the truth of life. This was the faith of this young boy Nachiketa, which impressed even the death. The boy didn't succumb to the temptations, didn't fall to the temptations. As they say, these were not some ordinary temptations. These were temptations with capital T. any human, any mortal would fall to them, would go for these pleasures, these joys. Nachiketa also had both the choices, the path of Sreyas, the path which is good, which is worthy, and the path of preyas, path of pleasure, path of luxury. And Nachiketa chose the former, chose the path which is worthy. And these are the lessons from the story, because the end of the story is Upanishad, the philosophy which follows in Kathopanishad, in 2 chapters having 3 parts each. And this follows that how the humans, the jivas, are one with the Paramatman, one with the divinity. Ultimately, the boy got the elixir of truth. And the lessons of the story are, first, we must have courage, courage to challenge, courage to challenge anybody who is not acting wisely, who is not acting as per Dharma, as per righteousness. This young boy, he was merely 8 years old, and his father was powerful, yet he challenged his father for truthfulness, for righteousness. The second lesson is fearlessness. The boy went to Yamaraj, the death himself, and didn't fear anything, didn't fear death. In fact, challenged death. In fact, debated with death. The third lesson is that we will be having both the paths, the path of Sreyas and path of preyas. Which path will we choose? Will we choose the path of luxury, or will we choose the path of worthiness? Like Nachiketa, we will have both the choice, and it will depend upon us, upon our vivek, upon our sense of discrimination, which path we choose. And years hence, this path which we choose will make the all difference. As Robert Frost also says, 2 paths were diverged in a yellow wood, and I chose the one less traveled by. And that made all the difference. We will also have both the paths, and the path which we will choose will decide the course of our life. And last, the most important lesson which we learn from this story is to be selfless. The boy didn't ask anything for himself. The first boon was for his father, his immediate family. Let them be happy. Let them have their son. Second boon was for those who seek heaven, for the society. And the third boon is for the whole humanity. Tell the truth for them, for everyone to realize. The boy didn't ask anything for himself, for his luxury, for his personal pleasure. We will also have moments when we have these boons in front of us, when we can choose. We can either choose luxury and enjoy and be pleased, or choose the path of worthiness and be immortal, as this boy Nachiketa, who lived 5,000 years before Christ and still inspires the youth of India, the youth who are committed to tread on the path of Dharma, on the path of righteousness. So this was the story of Nachiketa from Kathopanishad. Next time, we will come up with a new story which will have new lessons, and all these lessons will indicate towards Dharma, towards righteousness. Thank you. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.